And I am what I am. Don't try to complicate this. I'm running out of patience. And I am what I am.
Всем привет! На связи Dragon Age. Сегодня начинаем новую локацию. Будем смотреть, где нам еще доступна прокачечка, исходя из нашего уровня. Потому что не везде мы можем зайти и поделать квестики. Все помнят морозную котловину. Ну, кто не помнит, туда мы пришли. На 12 уровне вроде бы. А там ребята 14 уровня. Точнее 20 уровня. Поэтому мы не смогли там побыть. Предлагаю сейчас поговорить со спутниками. После того, как стол возьмем. Возможно, что-то у кого-то где-то поменялось по диалогам. Узнаем что-то новенькое о наших сопартийцах. А может и не узнаем. Так. Задание. Такое себе. Такое себе. Отправим Лилиану с этим челом. Будем дальше на металл отправлять. Шахту тоже отправим. Все, прекрасно. Тут разобрались. Идем поговорим со всеми, начиная с Жозефины. Так, кое-что забыл включить. Скриншотики делал. Отключал интерфейс. Все. Так, что расскажешь интересного?
And what else did Lady Forsythia say? That she'd rather drown herself than help the Inquisition. Anything else? She said she'd have us flogged alive if we allied with her brother. That does sound like her. Cheer up, Josie. We at least have her attention. You always do find the brighter side of things. We are in the midst of cementing an alliance with Lady Forsythia of Nevada, your worship. It's become a somewhat delicate task.
Can I do anything to help negotiations?
Thank you, but I believe I have matters in hand. I dissuaded her from sending soldiers when she learned we'd struck an accord with a brother she's feuding with. Lady Forsythia simply employs a colorful manner of speech.
Dealing with so many demanding, strong-willed people can't be easy.
It's no less intense than my days at court, Inquisitor, I assure you. But I confess I do miss my staff from the embassy in Antiva. It was always useful to discuss the day's visitors with them.
I have time, if you'd like to review things with me.
I wouldn't wish to impose.
If it were imposing, I wouldn't have offered.
Well, I admit there are a few potential alliances it would be good to discuss. Right on the parlor floor, in front of everyone at the soiree.
Романтическая линия с ней, походу.
Such a thing in front of their guests.
The Duke of Kellington, apparently.
And then there's Cole's lurking. It frightens our guests half to death. Lord Gennard still won't respond to our letters. And Sarah, can she not find a single overshirt with that mustard taint on it? Then there's Dorian. The man refuses to take anything seriously unless it suits its whim. Not to mention... Oh goodness. Have we been here an hour already?
It went by so quickly, I didn't even notice.
You're far too polite. I didn't intend to go on for so long. You must think me quite the gossip.
Spending time with such an engaging woman is never unpleasant, Lady Montillier.
Goodness. I'm glad I haven't wasted your day. Well, I've taken up quite enough of your time already. Until next time, Your Worship.
Так, это все прекрасно. Давайте еще с ней поговорим. Почему бы и нет? Чего еще расскажешь?
A pleasure.
Where were you raised, Josephine?
I was born in Antiva City, but when I turned 15, Mother declared I'd attend finishing school in Val Royeaux. But I bawled into her skirts the day I had to leave.
You must have missed her terribly.
I did. And she was most unsympathetic to my wailing. But my mother only wanted the best for me. Living in Orlais was an education in itself.
What did you learn at this finishing school in Val Royeaux?
Among other things, mathematics, rhetoric, poetry, history, logic, and a great deal of etiquette. I still remember Madame Beventir's switch on my knuckles when I forgot the basic tenets of Nevaran dining customs. For a dowager approaching her 80th year, she had quite the arm.
How did the younger you like Val Royeaux when you arrived?
Have you ever stepped into a new city and felt the buildings couldn't possibly be real? That was Val Royeaux to me. So beautifully foreign, I gaped at its spires for months.
Does Antiva City have nothing that compares to Val Royeaux?
Antiva City is a jewel among the capitals. But I did not appreciate that before I traveled. There are multitudes of places I'd like to see. Saharan, the Anderfelds, whatever lies past the Amaranthine Ocean.
Who rules Antiva?
Officially, the Principality of Antiva is governed by His Majesty King Fugelno II. In reality, Antiva's merchant princes rule the country in everything but name. Quite loudly, I might add.
What sort of dealings did you have with these merchant families?
As ambassador, I attended Privy Council meetings in a mediatory capacity. May I just say, one has never heard an argument until they've sat in on 15 princes howling down each other's tariff suggestions.
That sounds more like a mob than a meeting.
It's all a part of life in Antiva. Our traditions value passion and romance, a certain exuberance of style.
Are you positive you're Antivan?
I can be most exuberant when it's called for. Just at the right moments, and in a proper fashion. Might we speak of something else?
What's the land like in Antiva?
The settled areas are quite lush. The vineyards run as far as the eye can see in some places. Antiva City, however, perches right up against the Rialto Bay. That's what I miss most. The sea crashing against the maze of the docks.
I have difficulty seeing you wandering around a trading port.
Everyone in Antiva City spends time by the ships, my lord. The finest restaurants and poets all make their habitation by the sea. The waterfronts never still. Lanterns are lit along the promenade no matter what the weather.
Are you ever homesick?
Occasionally. When a breeze stirs the trees in the garden, I sometimes pretend it's the sound of the surf. Do you know, I even miss those terrible squawking birds infesting the harbor. My youngest sister used to throw whole loaves of bread to the gulls. Silly thing.
You haven't really gone into detail about how you know Liliana.
We met... let me think. We met the last few years of my schooling, but we became friends after I became ambassador to Olay. It seems terrifyingly long ago now.
How exactly did you and Liliana reconnect in the Inquisition?
I discovered my family had been overcharging a merchant we traded with for months. Our name carries a great deal of trust in Antiva. I spent weeks arranging a string of favors as suitable recompense. Apparently satisfied, the merchant extended me an invitation to her estate. Liliana greeted me in place of the merchant.
I assume there was more to it than a strange way to say hello.
It was a test of sorts. Liliana claimed she needed someone of painful integrity for the Inquisition. I accepted, once she finally explained what it was.
Do you remain close?
Yes, but she's grown so much more distant than the outgoing woman I met in Valroyo. Liliana used to wander the Orlesian courts, singing the sweetest songs, charming the greatest wits. Now she collects secrets and takes risks that would make empires tremble. I worry, but she will not hear it.
Does Liliana confide in you?
She enjoys revisiting our more disastrous adventures. Liliana used to concoct the most ridiculous plans. Run if you ever see her with a twine ball, a measuring stick, and a handkerchief.
Tell me about the Montiliers.
Well, my parents are alive and in good health. They live in our estate in Antiva City. Of my 4 siblings, most attend to the running of the family vineyards. That reminds me, I must ask someone to make sure Yvette attends the spring reception at the palace. My youngest sister has no head for social engagements.
Why are you overseeing your siblings' social lives?
It's Antivan custom. After a certain age, the heir apparent runs the family's estate to prove they're worthy of succession. If you're unfit for the task, the heads of the house, usually one's parents, may decree a new heir.
What do these Antivan heads of the household do if they don't run it?
They work and provide guidance. I've taken advice from my parents. Well, mostly mother. Father's more of an artist. It's rather gauche, but we never can dissuade him from running his own salons. Between him and my siblings, Mother is looking forward to my taking over the estate.
Can you run your family's business and be the Inquisition's ambassador?
I won't let it interfere with the quality of my work for the Inquisition, I assure you. But managing the estate is my duty. As much work as it is, I will not shirk it.
Is running your family's estate that important to you?
I'm responsible for their welfare. A Montilier never shuns their familial duty. Taxing as those duties can sometimes be.
Maybe your siblings could help lighten your burden.
You don't know them. But Lorien in charge, or Antoine, or Yvette? No, truly. It must be me.
Let's speak later.
Farewell. A pleasure.
What do the people make of us?
We've gathered many favors among the nobility. They will be gently reminded of this.
Any visiting dignitaries I should watch out for?
You may see the Countess Lutetia in the halls. A lovely woman, but her conversations tend towards the unusual. She's the patron of Orlay's greatest naturalists. The Countess's particular passion is collecting butterflies.
That doesn't sound unusual.
She goes into great detail about preserving them. It seems to involve large amounts of chemicals and pins. A pleasure.
What do the people make of us?
We've gathered many favors among...
Any thought?
Who did you mean? Farewell.
Так, узнали кое-что новенькое. Прекрасно. Тут она сказала, можно поговорить с леди Лютенцией. Где Где она?
Law has asserted itself.
В залах. Где залы?
Work of
Not much better than
whatever they used to
road.
call it.
Непонятно.
If no one else is doing it, someone has to step up.
We'll see.
Давайте с Гатс поговорим. Нашли что-то или
Stone
нет?
mad, Inquisitor.
Do you have any insight into the stories these tiles are supposed to depict?
Tell you what, you who better, right? A good dwarven
Another.
best of.
Да, мы еще ни одну мозаику не собрали. К сожалению. Ладно, с Вариком пообщаемся.
If you need something.
What are your thoughts on the Inquisition?
If there's anybody out there who hasn't joined the Inquisition, they're hiding under a rock. Did you want to take over for Eldon? I think we might be able to conquer it just by looking east.
Good.
Back to... What can I do for you, Inquisitor?
Can I ask?
You want to talk about me? I'm flattered.
Нету
Так,
диалогов тут новых. Вроде как. Так, что ты мне расскажешь нового?
Something wrong with your tea?
It is tea. I detest this stuff. But this morning, I need to shake the dreams from my mind. I may also need a favor.
You just have to ask.
One of my oldest friends has been captured by mages, forced into slavery. I heard the cry for help as I slept.
I'd be happy to help. What did these mages use to capture your friend? Blood magic?
A summoning circle, I would imagine.
I'm sorry?
My friend is a spirit of wisdom. Unlike the spirits clamoring to enter our world through the rifts, it was dwelling quite happily in the Fade. It was summoned against its will, and wants my help to gain its freedom and return to the Fade.
I thought spirits wanted to find their way into this world.
Some do, certainly. Just as many Orlesian peasants wish they could journey to exotic Rivain. But not everyone wants to go to Rivain. My friend is an explorer, seeking lost wisdom and reflecting it. It would happily discuss philosophy with you, but it had no wish to come here physically.
Do you have any idea what the mages want with your friend?
No. It knows a great deal of lore and history, but a mage could learn that simply by speaking to it in the Fade. It is possible that they seek information it does not wish to give, and intend to torture it.
All right. Let's go get your friend.
Thank you. I got a sense of my friend's location before I awoke. I'll mark it on our map. My friend.
I need to know more about Corypheus.
You shamed him when you destroyed Haven. Spoiled his glorious victory. It would be worse to acknowledge that you had done so. He must continue on his course or show weakness. He will return to his plans to throw Orlais into chaos, and then conquer it for Devinter.
I'd like to hear more about what you saw in your exploration of the Fade.
I would be happy to share it with you.
Tell me about the old ruins you explored.
I found an ancient dwarven thaig no longer sheltered by the stone. An earthquake had exposed it all to daylight. 1,000 dwarven corpses lay.
Интересно, у него диалоги обновились. Может, и у Варика там новые варианты появятся? Можно будет еще раз с ним поговорить.
In the middle, one small body, clutching tightly to a small stuffed toy.
Tell me about a spirit you encountered.
The Alamari crossed the Frostback Mountains to escape a beast they called the Shadow Goddess in their story. I met the spirit that they fled. She walks the Fade along the southern tundra,
weeping lonely and forgotten. Great Ferelden formed because a lonely spirit drove her prey away.
Tell me about the old memories you found in the Fade.
I saw a dwarf emerge into the light of day and shield his eyes against the sun. First time he had seen it, but tears were streaming from his eyes. I thought them from the blazing light, until I saw the rock he held so tightly. Then he laid the rock down gently, and he left it as he walked away.
We'll talk later.
Странные истории, конечно. Ну ладно. Так, у тебя что-то есть новое? Может, все-таки обновилось что-то?
Did you want to take over for Eld?
What do you think?
He's been insufferably smug lately. You might want to.
How do you think?
I'm starting to get the feeling that this is all a warm-up before she takes.
What do you think?
Do you want to know what the Arashok had for breakfast this morning? I think.
Good to know.
Back to. I've got a minute if you need something.
Ничего нового у него.
I'll tell you what I can.
What could the...
In Kirkwall, just having the leer before it turned her in. Maybe they thought the power was worth it, or maybe they didn't know the consequence.
Are they...
Походу, если с ними не бегать, то ничего не обновляется.
I'll tell you what I can.
I've seen...
That's a good... To tell the truth, we don't really know what that shit can do to a person.
Are they...
Ну, ничего нового. Вроде как не говорит. Да. Все диалоги старые. Хорошо. Пойдем тогда с другими пообщаемся. Так, на улицу нам не нужно. Нам нужно вверх. Где тут проход вверх? Вот лестница. Дориан, что расскажешь?
Anything interesting?
A letter regarding Felix, Alexius's son. He went to the Magisterium, stood on the Senate floor and told them of you. A glowing testimonial, I'm informed. No news on the reaction, but everyone back home is talking. Felix always was as good as his word.
Was?
He's dead. The blight caught up with him.
Are you all right?
He was ill, and thus on borrowed time anyhow.
It doesn't mean you can't regret his death.
I know. Felix used to sneak me treats from the kitchens when I was working late in his father's study. Don't get into trouble on my behalf, I tell him. I like trouble, he'd say. Tevinter could use more mages like him. Those who put the good of others above themselves.
Were the two of you...
Felix and I? What an odd question. No. I had no intention of abusing Alexius's hospitality by seducing his son. Not that I've been proper my whole life, by any means. It wasn't like that. Even in illness, Felix was the best of us. With him around, you knew things could be better.
You make it sound like he was a better person than you.
What a mad thing to say. Few people are better than I. Very well, a better person, clearly, not nearly as handsome. Thankfully, Felix wasn't the only decent sort kicking around Thedas. I'm told you have Alexius researching magic for you. Research is always what made him happiest. Perhaps I'll even go talk to him eventually. One word of advice. If he suggests altering time as a way to solve all your problems, give it a pass.
You said Alexius was a mentor of yours.
He was my patron, sponsoring me to the higher levels of the Circle of Magi. In return, my successes were his. I had a lot of successes, naturally. Alexius was most pleased. He and I used to talk over brandy about the corruption, how we could one day make real change in the Imperium. And then he gave up. He stopped trying.
Why did he give up?
On a journey to Hosburg, a Darkspawn raid killed his wife and sickened his son. I remember hearing the news. He hadn't been there, you see. Alexius was convinced he could have protected them. The guilt tore him up. I helped him with his research for a while, and then we drifted apart.
That must have been difficult.
Back then, I was furious. I told him to snap out of it, move on. I thought I had all the answers. Later, I regretted my hasty words. But we didn't speak again until he approached me for the Venatori. Too much pride, I suppose. Plus, I was busy drinking. One must have priorities.
Was it hard being away from him?
It was hard not having a patron, yes. Not exactly built to fit in. At any rate, he's fallen so low, I doubt he'll ever get up. Sad, really.
I should go.
As you wish. Here we are again.
I should go.
Хорошо, с этим тоже переговорили. Фиона, что ты расскажешь интересного?
Research on your behalf is almost too kind. I hope you know what you're doing. Do be wary of anything that man proposes.
I trust everything is well with the mages?
There have been a few scuffles with your Templars, but overall it is going well.
Ничего нового. Ничего нового. Хорошо. Ничего себе место выбрала Вивьен.
Vivienne.
My dear Inquisitor, whatever can I do for you?
Why did I find movers changing all my furniture?
I'm sure I don't know, darling. Perhaps your old furniture was full of lice and fleas.
This is ridiculous. Stop acting like a child, Vivienne.
Thus speaks the Inquisitor who has made so many mature and level-headed choices lately. Setting malcontents loose among the population with no safeguards to stop them should they turn into abominations. Very wise. I rearranged some furniture. Lives are not thrown into jeopardy by this. Perhaps a little perspective is wanted here.
Quit the needling and the snide remarks. If you want to pick a fight, pick a fight.
I'm not fighting with anyone, darling. I merely wanted to see what you do. You are the current leader of the Inquisition. It's good to know your limits. And now I do. Be a dear and run along now, Inquisitor. I have so much to attend to.
У меня не было вариантов ответа.
Whatever is the matter this time, dear?
I'd like to know more about you, Madame Vivienne.
How sweet of you, my dear. But I'm sure there's nothing I can say that you don't already know. Oh, darling, you look terrible.
Do you think...
Oh, how sweet. Whatever is the matter this time, dear?
Можно ее как-то выгнать? Я бы ее выгнал. Я бы ее просто выгнал от нас. Так, ты что расскажешь?
What
is your evaluation of how we're doing?
Adequate, based on the partial improvements to Skyhold.
As you were.
Yes, Inquisitor.
Ого. Да, неплохо мы тут подняли. Специфика +1. Круто. Сейчас пойдем прокачаем.
Inquisitor.
What is your evaluation?
Adequate. Based on the partial improvements. Yes.
Неплохо мы тут так подняли всего. Так, а на верхнем уровне у нас Лилиана вроде бы еще живет. Давайте поднимемся, с ней пообщаемся. Что это такое? Так, Лилиана.
Inquisitor.
Anything I should know?
I've agents stationed by the ruins of Haven should Corypheus or his lackeys return. So far nothing, and the breach has been quiet for some time. There is something at least.
Let's talk about you.
Me?
Bards tell tales.
There are plenty of tales in the library. Perhaps you should look for them there.
What did you do before you worked for the Divine?
I was a bard, an Orlesian spy for many years. For a time I also served as small cloister in
Хантон
Lothering.
5.
After the blight,
Привет.
the Divine called on me
Хочу
to oversee
предложить
her
продвижение
personal network.
вашего канала, зрители, фолловеры, просмотры, чат-боты. Цена ниже любого конкурента. Авто включение. Невероятно гибкая и удобная панель управления заказами. Все в ваших руках. Включайте / выключайте / настраивайте. При тех проблемах полный возврат. Заходи на стрим
I should
Райс.ру.
leave you to your work.
We can always talk later. Did you need something?
They called you the left hand
Спасибо,
of the
чел, за
Divine.
рекламу.
That
Спасибо.
you did? What of it?
What is the point of an Inquisition?
Justinia would have started the Inquisition if the Divine Conclave failed to restore peace. She hoped that with enough support, we could challenge the very tenets of the Chantry. She wanted the Chantry to treat the mages fairly. But sometimes I wonder, why stop at mages? The Chantry has committed many injustices. If we're going to change it, why not change the whole thing? It's just a thought. None of this will be possible if we fail.
I'll try not to break anything.
That's good to hear.
I could use the left hand of the Divine at my side out there.
Every agent out in the world is my eyes, my ears, my blade. Wherever my people are, I am also. Coming with you, leaving my post, would blind and bound me. Do you see?
What exactly does the left hand of the Divine do?
A divine always has enemies, and Justinia had more than most. I protected her. I watched, had an ear to every door. I identified threats, and I dealt with them.
Why did Justinia have so many enemies?
There were many who felt she was unfit to be divine. She had a past, a worldly life. Unlike many, she wasn't given to the Chantry as a child. She chose it, and somehow that made her unworthy. And because they thought she was unworthy, they wished her harm.
You still haven't told me what you did exactly.
I handled difficult situations that couldn't be resolved through more delicate means.
We'll talk more later.
Inquisitor,
Anything I should know?
I've nothing to report at the moment.
I'll leave you to your work.
Так. Тут вроде как со всеми пообщались. Варик, Ювен, Диана, Солос, Дориан. Давайте на этот квест сходим. Кто и что там хочет. Мать же сели. Да, слушаю.
Has Dorian done something wrong?
No, thankfully. It's nothing like that. I have been in contact with his family. House Pavas, out of Carenas. Are you familiar with them?
He's mentioned his family. They don't appear to be on good terms.
Yes. I believe you're correct. The family sent a letter describing the estrangement from their son and pleading for my aid. They've asked to arrange a meeting quietly without telling him. They fear it's the only way he'll come. Since you seem to be on good terms with the young man, I'd hoped...
Are you sure this isn't some kind of trap? I mean, the secrecy.
That did occur to me. What if it is a plot of those mages, the Venatori? Another reason to put this in your hands, Inquisitor. I pray that isn't the case. But if it is, you are far better equipped than I to respond to such treachery.
Just what kind of meeting do they have in mind?
I believe they just want to talk, to understand why Dorian felt he had to come here. Somewhere private, away from Skyhold, but not in Tevinter. You make them nervous, I think. They don't understand why he's here with the Inquisition. They want him to come home.
What happens if Dorian doesn't agree?
Hopefully that will be the end of it. If not, well, that's why you should be there.
Why would his family contact you?
Because they don't know you, Inquisitor. I am not of the Imperial Chantry, but they know what I represent. These are parents concerned about the welfare of their son. How could I not do whatever possible? I would speak to the young man myself, but he does not care for me. Thus I come to you. If any good can come of this, we must try.
They don't want Dorian to know? That seems odd.
They believe the young man would refuse, and the letter implies he'd have cause. Yet, they are remorseful for whatever came before. This is a chance for dialogue. There is deceit in bringing the young man to this meeting without his foreknowledge, I know. But does it not lead to a greater kindness if there is potential for reconciliation?
Мы подумаем.
I'll see what I can do.
Bless you.
Ну, что еще сказать?
The family will send a retainer to meet the young man at the Red Cliff Tavern, to take him onward. If he truly does not wish this reunion, he can always end the matter there. I should pray for your success and the young man's happiness. That's all we can hope for. Is it?
Кириллия. Хихи. Кириллия. Привет.
Так. Тут вроде этот вопрос решили. Тут со всеми пообщались. Можно пойти к Коулу.
Экириллия. Что ты сосешь?
Чего?
Inquisitor.
Экириллия. Звуки странные были.
Не, чел, ты ошибаешься. Ничего не сосу.
Planning troop movements now?
I'm trying to imagine what it will look like when we're done. All of this once belonged to the Tevinter Imperium. Andraste changed that, as did the Blights. As for what will come next, I cannot guess the Maker's plan.
We make the world a better place.
Because everyone agrees on what better means. I know I want a world where people trust the Chantry and that trust is respected. I want to respect tradition, but not fear change. I want to right past wrongs, but not avenge them. And I have no idea if my wanting these things makes any of them right.
Even if they're not right, they're certainly admirable.
Some would disagree. They would call it heresy.
That didn't sound like the ravings of a heretic, Cassandra.
Perhaps not. But it takes precious little effort to paint even an act of compassion as damaging. Tell me, what guides you? You make decisions that shake the world, yet always seem so assured. I wish I had your confidence.
If I'm guided by anything, it's you.
Oh, excellent. The blind leading the blind.
I don't think you're blind.
Clearly, you haven't been paying attention.
Haven't I?
When we first met, if someone told me I would be pleased to have you lead me, I would have throttled them. But I am. The Maker chose well.
Экириллия. Моей сестре сегодня исполнилось 1,5 года.
Wherever it takes us, I'm glad you're here.
Ну, можно поздравить, в принципе, но не считаю, что это, скажем так, круглая дата.
Is there anything you need?
Do you have any advice for me?
Watch the treasury carefully, with that Sarah present.
You think she's here to rob us?
Possibly not, but I would hardly put it past her.
Do you have any advice for me?
It's good that you recruited Enchanter Vivian into the Inquisition. She is ambitious, but has always shown sense in her dealings with the Chantry. My advice would be to watch her, but heed her when she speaks. That one wastes no words.
Do you have any advice for me?
We must root out the Red Templars. They form the bulk of Corypheus's forces.
Do you have any advice for me?
We must guard Skyhold carefully. There is no telling when Corypheus will next attack.
Do you have any advice for me?
Nothing I can think of. No.
Так, ясно. С ней пообщались, в принципе.
Another time, then.
Так, осталось пообщаться с Калленом. Так, это кто у нас?
Inquisitor. That's got a good ring to it. We're happy to be here, Your Worship. You need anything, let me know.
Can we talk about the Bull's chargers?
Экирилия.
Best company you'll find
Вчера
from
ты
here to the
был
Anderfells.
разговорчивее.
In my time with the chief, we've gone up against everything from bandits to magic trees.
Так вчера ж хоть что-то делали.
But you'll never doubt
Сейчас
we're
одни
worth it.
диалоги. Что
Know
мне
anything
говорить?
particular?
Do the chargers
Я
specialize in
слушаю.
anything from a tactical standpoint?
Bull doesn't want us
Интересно
large enough
послушать.
to work as an army. We're better as shock troops, as skirmishers. We've got archers for hitting enemy infantry, Dalish with more archery, and Skinner and her people on the flanks. Rocky handles fortifications and traps, and Stitches keeps us all fighting. They mostly hold back. I'll lead the frontline fighters with Grim.
Вчера
And the
был
chief
эпик.
goes wherever he can hit something.
You said something about everything from bandits to magic trees. I'll admit to some curiosity.
Right. Sylvans. That's what Dalish called them. Apparently spirits can possess trees too. Some noble in the Dales, and they really don't like it when you call them Dalish nobles, had a haunted forest. His family had abandoned the land, but he wanted it back. The chief bought us all axes, and in we went. Between the axes and the torches, the Sylvans weren't too bad.
Эпик. Возможно. Возможно, был эпик.
Are there rules for how mercenaries operate?
If you don't want some noble to treat you like bandits, yes. There's also a code of conduct most companies hold to. Keeps things civilized on the battlefield. We accept surrenders for ransom from mercenaries, nobles, and soldiers wearing a lord's colors. Our prisoners are treated well, injuries tended. We'd want the same for any of ours who got captured.
We'll talk later.
Your worship.
Сегодня у нас стрим диалогов, так что...
Экирилия. Как круто ты убивал дракона, аж слеза пошла.
Last time I met him, he saved my life. I never thought I'd
Знаешь,
work
как
for
сложно его
Canary,
было
but
убивать?
he grows on you. He's
Точнее,
not like any
долго.
commander I've ever worked for.
А долго это тоже сложно. Так что...
How's Iron Bull as a commander?
If you know what you're doing and hold up your end, he's easy. He doesn't accept any less. If he keeps us alive, he leads from the front, and if you've an idea that'll win the fight, he listens. I've seen bands whose captains had to prove they were swinging the biggest sword. Bull isn't like that. The charges might give him more lip than you'd expect, but every one of us would lay down our lives for the big ass.
Is it strange to work for a Canary?
He hasn't tried to convert us to the Qun, if that's what you're asking. Bull's charges don't care who you light a candle for, so long as your shield stays up.
А как он пьет и говорит одновременно?
I thought I left that life behind.
Он только что взял бутылку, пил, при этом говорил.
I didn't expect he'd tell you all that he was a spy.
Not the whole band, but
странно.
those who've been around long enough to trust. He figures most of us would find out sooner or later, and it should come from him. Eyes to eye, he says. It's never messed up a job. He just writes letters back home. Lots of the boys write letters back home.
How did a Tevinter soldier wind up in a Kunari spy's mercenary company?
I wasn't a soldier at the time. I was in some trouble, trying to flee to Vinter. A tribune and his men caught me in a border town tavern. They meant to make an example of me. Bull killed them. Gave up his eye doing it. Patched me up and asked if I was looking for work. I've been putting up with his jokes ever since.
That's how he lost the eye?
Yes. The guards had me on the tavern floor when Bull came inside and yelled for them to stop. One of them saw trouble coming and figured he'd finish me off. The guard had a flail. Bull put himself between me and the blow. Big-horned idiot. Didn't even know me.
We'll talk later.
Натали.
Your worship.
Он чревовещатель.
Iron Bull said the chargers were at my disposal. Do you have any suggestions on how to use them?
I suspect Haven's quiet by now. Might be worth sending the boys back. We could recover some supplies, get an idea about the enemy's strength. We could even pick up any stragglers who haven't found Skyhold yet.
Can we talk about...
Certainly. What can I tell you?
Have you had any other interesting jobs?
Had one noble whose rival had been told by a fortune teller that her death would come on feathered wings. The noble sent us after the rival. Not assassination, legal and everything, but we had to wear feathers. We sewed them into shirts over our armor.
Он опять пьет и говорит при этом.
All feathered up like the cock of the walk. Ended up retreating after
Может, у него два рта
rival choked to death a year later on
или два горла.
We'll talk later.
Inquisitor?
Can we talk about the bulls?
Certainly. What can I tell you?
Have you...
The big old beast taking over some Navaran lady's winter estate.
Понаблюдаем еще за ним. Вот опять говорит и пьет.
Hanging from the chandelier, scuttling over the tapestries.
Космический человек.
Don't really have a story about it. It's just a lot of spiders.
We'll talk later.
Inquisitor?
Can we talk about the Bull's chargers?
Certainly. What can I tell?
Have you?
This old Legion guy paid us to clear out some bandits who'd taken over his mine. We got in, took down most of them, and had just reached their leader when the mine collapsed around us. Turned out the bandits were working for the Elysian guy, and he wanted to cover up their agreement. The bandits passed around shovels. We all got to digging. Tracked a lot of dirt into that Elysian's bedroom.
We'll talk later.
Inquisitor?
Can we talk about the Bull's...
Certainly. What can I tell you?
Have you had any other interesting jobs?
We went up against Gatler's giants in Ferelden. Not actual giants, but big guys, all wearing a dragon's weight in armor. Might as well be fighting golems. The chief challenged Gatler himself to a single combat. Gatler laughed and called him a horned savage. The chief broke a dam and flooded the valley. Last we saw of Gatler was a bunch of bubbles as we swam away.
We'll talk later.
Inquisitor?
Can we talk?
Certainly. What can I tell you?
Have you had any...
We had these villagers pay us with rice one time. Should have seen the chief's face. Him and me and 5 guys defending the town from 50 bandits, and they pay us in bags of rice. Chief always took money up front after that. He also learned how to make this rice pudding dessert. Looks awful. Looks pretty good.
We'll talk later.
Inquisitor?
Can you think of any other towns?
Nothing jumps out at me. I come up with...
We'll talk.
Так, прекрасно. С этим пообщались. Теперь с быком еще поговорим.
Inquisitor, come have a drink. To killing a high dragon like warriors of legend. What exactly am I supposed to be drinking? Maras Lok. What does that mean? It means drink! Oh. I know, right? Put some chest on your chest. That little gurgle right before it spat fire. And that roar. What I wouldn't give to roar like that. The way the ground shook when it landed. The smell of the fires burning. Tarsidathan Halsam. You know, Kunari hold dragons sacred. Well, as much as we hold anything sacred. Here, your turn. That thing you just said. You shouted it during the fight, too. What does it mean?
Да, да, nice диалог. Он даже не участвовал. Я его ни разу не брал в отряд. Откуда он это все знает? Что означает, он я в бою кричал. Этого не было. Что за...
Yes, the second cup's easier. Most of the nerves in your throat are dead after the first one. Atashi, the glorious ones. That's our word for them. Atashi. Why do you think the Kunari think of dragons that way? Well, you know how we have horns. We kind of look more dragony than most people. Maybe it's that. But a few of the Ben Hasrath have this crazy old theory. See, the Tamasrans control who we mate with. They breed us for jobs like you'd breed dogs or horses. What if they mixed in some dragon a long time ago? Maybe drinking the blood, maybe magic, I don't know. But something in that dragon we killed.
Мы не убивали дракона вместе, ты не был с нами. Откуда? Кто придумал этот диалог? Зачем вы его включили, если он не был со мной в отряде? Зачем? Боже. Да, прекрасный бой. Ты с нами не был, чел. Ты не знаешь, что было.
Have another drink. Nice. To dragons. To finding the biggest, baddest things in the world and showing them that we're badder. Anan.
Хороший конец, в принципе. Логический. Бухать с Кунари — это, конечно, опасное занятие. Так, пообщались. Давайте еще пообщаемся. А, все, диалога больше нет. Прекрасно. Пока что с ним самые нормальные диалоги.
Someone requested a dragon flagon. I threw him out.
Так. Что у нас тут? Книжечка. Бури-бури. Прекрасно. Поговорим с Сарой.
Hey you, I have an inquisitor favor to ask. Just a little thing really. A little march around for some of your people. It's nothing for you, right?
All right, let's hear what you've got.
Jump right in, huh? I like that. It's a Red Jenny thing. I got a tip that some noble stiffs are arguing over Vachel. Land squabble. They're getting little people beat up. So I need you to go to your big table and send some people to walk through town.
Just walk through?
Just walk through. Easy, right?
Was this a tip from one of your friends?
Not a Jenny. Just normal angry people getting sick of being in the middle. I don't usually hear about things this far away. But having a friend like you is like getting really big ears. Bigger ears, I guess. Shut up.
Who's asking for this?
I'm asking, because I heard people complaining. See, when nobles fight, it's not them, it's their little people stuck in the middle. It's like a polite war, so no one pays attention. But if you march through, the people up top feel threatened too. Stuff like this is always happening. Good sovereigns to be made if you're one of the few who notice.
What does the Inquisition get out of this?
Nobles think everyone is out to get them. So when your helmets march through, both sides will think the other's your ally. Both get scared, both make deals. Worst case, you get a little bump among the people just because they see you active. Can't promise anything, but something will happen, just like always.
All right, Sarah. I'll have someone look into it.
It's fun, right? Being important without doing a thing. Well, not much of a thing. Not everything has to be torn skies and ancient arseholes. Every little thing makes a difference somewhere. Uh-huh.
Are things...
Cassandra laid it out, right? You're the big hat. Praying's nice, I suppose. Coryphe's bit, though. Shite.
What do you think about...
Again, with your people. Right, which ones? Not as buttoned up as she plays, right? Tough, though. I'd stand back.
We'll talk later.
Good, right?
Так. С ней пообщались. В принципе, тут больше никого нет. Можно к Кассандре отправляться. Нет, к Кассандре мы уже отправлялись. Угу. В принципе, Калвину можно. Куть убийцы. Поискать Коула. Прекрасно.
What are you doing?
Listening. Eyes rough, jangling armor hurts my ears, back aching, fingers too clumsy for knots. Wind cool like Aunt Eloise's pond, lips scalded as I sip, warmth blossoms, first kiss in the barn, what was his name? Tin jangle as the blood spills, Pierre's wrapped body on the wagon to the chantry, 5 more minutes, my fault.
Can you listen to anyone's mind like you did hers?
No, they have to need me. Pain, fear, sadness, guilt, anger, hurt. Things I can fix.
Can you do something for her?
Yes. It's okay. Nothing you did mattered.
What? Who are you?
They lie there, and sometimes they die, just like Pierre. You can't save them.
I don't know who you are.
Wait. That didn't work. Let me try again. You'll forget me in a minute.
What are you going to do?
Make her forget me. Then do it again, the right way. You can't save all of them.
What?
Like Pierre getting sick after you snuck out to Aunt Eloise's pond. You want it to be your fault, so there's a reason and it's not so frightening. But there is no reason. Pierre just got sick. The soldier was never going to live. It wasn't your fault. Better.
She doesn't blame herself anymore?
Not as much. It was bouncing around inside her, closing up into a ball of wrong. Now it's open. She'll get it out.
Well done.
Thank you for letting me help her. It's not how a person would do it. But it helped. That's what matters.
Да, чел, ты, конечно, вообще безумец. Просто больной. Так, зайдем к Аллену. Есть что-то интересное? Блин, надо подойти поближе.
Gloat all you like. I have this one.
Are you sassing me, Commander? I didn't know you had it in you.
Why do I even... Inquisitor.
Leaving, are you? Does this mean I win?
Please don't stop on my account.
All right. Your move.
You need to come to terms with my inevitable victory. You'll feel much better.
Really? Because I just won. And I feel fine.
Don't get smug. There will be no living with you.
I should return to my duties as well. Unless you would care for a game.
Prepare the board, Commander.
As a child, I played this with my sister. She would get this stuck-up grin whenever she won, which was all the time. My brother and I practiced together for weeks. Oh, the look on her face the day I finally won. Between serving the Templars and the Inquisition, I haven't seen them in years. Wonder if she still plays.
You have siblings?
2 sisters and a brother.
Where are they now?
They moved to South Reach after the Blight. I do not write to them as often as I should. Ah, it's my turn.
All right, let's see what you've got.
This may be the longest we've gone without discussing the Inquisition, or related matters. To be honest, I appreciate the distraction.
We've been through enough to drop the formalities and simply talk.
I suppose we have. I believe this one is yours. Well played.
Классная игра, даже ничего делать не пришлось. Просто играть честно. Тут чел тренировался, наверное. Сестре пишет. А, это от нее письмо. Хорошее письмо.
At your service.
Is there anything I should know?
I'd gotten used to mages disliking me on principle. Vivienne's views on Templars are surprisingly traditional.
Is there...
Sarah brought me a piece of cake.
Why are you telling...
Because it was either an act of kindness or a trap. I was hoping you knew which.
Is there...
Creating Inquisition footholds outside Skyhold. We've received a number of recruits eager to pledge themselves to our cause.
Is there...
I believe Dagna has settled in well.
Is that a bad...
I'm concerned she'll cheerfully blow up Skyhold with one of her experiments. The risk is small at present.
Is there anything I should know?
Not at present.
Окей.
That's all for now.
Should you require anything, I'll be here.
Окей. Чудесно. С этим пообщались. Вот тут еще что-то. Еще одна книжка. Так, хорошо. А где? А вот он, хорошо. Сюда нам нужно. Поговорить еще с этим челиком. Да, нашел. Хотя, может, он что-то интересное расскажет. Нет, ничего нового он не расскажет. Хорошо.
Waiting. Storms are not inclined to wait. Hurry, so we can smash a glass and get to it. The tempest leaps where they shouldn't, and let your enemies make those mistakes.
I'm not signing on as a tempest just yet.
You have your tools. You've a choice. Do you commit to constructing yourself?
Так, все, тут все порешали. Идем на стол. Новые задания выберем. И после этого уже отправляемся в путь. Хватит диалогов. Со всеми поговорили, кое-что интересное узнали. Все, выбрали этот скилл. Будет так. Тут все поделали. Сюда этого отправляем. Так, остальное по рутене новое, да? Так, разведать руины.
Inquisitor. Let's see what we have.
Все. Тут всех отправили, в принципе. Все. Отправляемся на новую локацию. Наконец-таки. Вопрос куда? Приз Юлион. Изумрудные могилы. Священная равнина. Куда же нам отправиться? О, тут квестик обновился. Можем, в принципе, сбегать проверить. Отправляйтесь к стату ставки командования, чтобы узнать причину. Не совсем понял. Получается, новое задание должно быть или что? Пойдем по сюжетке, в общем, пока что.
We know how. I have our way in. The real question is, where is our enemy hiding? At the urging of Grand Duchess Florian, the Empress is holding a ball. Absolutely everyone will be there. During the festivities, Celine will be meeting for peace talks with the usurper Duke Gaspard and Ambassador Briala.
The assassin must be hiding within one of these factions.
Do we need to go to the peace talks? The Empress must have personal guards. We could just warn her she's in danger.
We've made the attempt, but...
It seems that our messages never reached her. Someone intercepted them.
It's better that we don't leave this to chance. If Orlais falls to Corypheus, no land is safe.
What do we know about Duke Gaspard?
The man who would have been Emperor. He's Celine's cousin, and was first in line to inherit the throne when Emperor Florian died. Celine outmaneuvered him. She won over the Council of Heralds, who hold authority over title disputes. She became Empress, and he a general in the Imperial Army. He's well loved by the troops. He's also a Chevalier. Most of their number sided with him when he turned on the Empress.
Aren't the Chevaliers part of the army? Why would they follow the Duke?
Most Chevaliers are sworn to serve the crown, but that does not give them faith in the person wearing it. The Empress has tried to improve relations with Ferelden and Navarra. The Chevaliers see her as anti-military. They believe Gaspard could lead the Empire back to the glory of Draken's expansion years.
Who is this Ambassador Briala?
An ambassador in name only. She has organized the elves of Halam Sharal into an underground army. The Empress invited her to the peace talks in a bid to gain the elves' alliance in the war. That would be scandal enough, without the rumor that Briala is a jilted lover of Celine's. A personal grudge and a network of saboteurs at her command? promising lead.
Wait, the elven leader is a jilted lover of the Empress?
It's not widely known. Just a rumor whispered among the palace servants a few years ago. If it's true and were to get out, the Empress and an elf. The scandal could destroy Celine's court. Even if a lie, Briella could use it to blackmail the Empress. She has some connection to the throne.
Tell me everything we know about the Empress.
Empress Celine is a renowned diplomat and reformer. She works tirelessly to secure peace for the Empire. Unfortunately, many Orlesians view peace as complacency. She has yet to name an heir, leaving the future of the Empire in doubt if anything happens to her. Especially when the next in line is her cousin Gaspard, who's made few friends on the Council of Heralds.
Celine is surrounded at all times by countless guards, courtiers, servants, and vassals. What better place for an assassin to hide than the Empress's own household?
How can Gaspard still be next in line while he wages war against his Empress?
The title Grand Duke indicates that he was a prince before the Empress took the throne.
You've given me plenty to think about.
With Gaspard and Celine's armies entrenched, we cannot openly march troops to the palace.
My agents will ensure your soldiers get inside, but it must be a few at a time to avoid attention.
Understood. Just give the word, and we'll begin.
Попробуем. Почему бы и нет? Нужно чередовать немножко прохождения, скажем так.
The political situation in Halam Shiral hangs by a thread. The Empress fears our presence could sever it. The Grand Duke is only too happy to have us at the ball as his guests, so our invitation comes from him. Whether we act as his allies or upset the balance of power, he gains an opportunity, if not a clear advantage.
Inquisitor Trevelyan, we meet at last. I've heard so much about you. Bringing the rebel mages into the ranks of your army was a brilliant move. Imagine what the Inquisition could accomplish with the full support of the rightful Emperor of Orlais.
And which one was the rightful one again? I keep getting them confused.
If we keep watch, he may appear. Probably by the brandy. I am not a man who forgets his friends, Inquisitor. You help me, I'll help you. Prepared to shock the Assembly by appearing as the guest of a hateful usurper, my lord? They will be telling stories of this into the next age.
There's a Tevinter assassin on the loose, Gaspard. Finding him is my priority.
Are you serious? That is a grave allegation, my friend. A foreign power meddling now, of all times? I have no doubt this Tevinter is hiding within the ranks of the Elven delegation. They're up to something. My people have found these ambassadors all over the fortifications. Sabotage seems the least of their crimes.
Tell me there's more to your suspicion than the elves were acting dodgy?
That Ambassador Briella used to be a servant of Celine's. That is, until my cousin had her arrested for crimes against the Empire to cover up a political mistake. If anyone in this room wishes Celine harm, Inquisitor, it's that elf. She certainly has reason. Be as discreet as possible. I detest the game, but if we do not play it well, our enemies will make us look like villains. We're keeping the court waiting, Inquisitor. Shall we?
Is that the Inquisitor?
What? Imartia? Don't be absurd.
One of the true
Так.
I've heard.
There must be something here.
Вернуть кольцо аристократки или же оставить себе?
Is that the Inquisitor?
A martyr? The Maker has an odd sense.
Are all the Delancey's here?
Maker, I hope Maker.
not.
Поговорим с
What
ней.
am I going to do if I cannot find my ring?
Is this the ring you were looking for?
You are a treasure! I cannot believe you found it! You have saved me a lifetime of mortification. How can I thank you enough?
Всегда рад помочь. Так, что у нас тут? Что у нас тут?
What is Lady Pentecost wearing?
Тут что-то интересное. Нужно больше статуэток Гау. Понятно.
We can only hope Celine prevails tonight. Gaspar will ruin us all.
Нужно найти статуэтки. Тут требуется ключ. Прекрасно.
Foreigners.
Угу. Точку, где можно будет их подслушать. Прекрасно. Подслушаем.
Any word from the front lines?
My spies said the bodies were beyond counting.
Surely the Empress will put an end to the war tonight.
Pray, my friend. If the Maker does not hear us now, just pray.
Прекрасно. Ключ нашли. Чудненько. Так, а хранилище у нас тут. Угу. Да, интересненько. Много тут всего. Очень много. Туда прохода нет. Хорошо. Давайте в это крыло сходим. Нашли статуэтку.
Is it true the Inquisitor was handed out of the faith by Andraste?
Рыцаря-чародея. Идеально. У нас таких что пока нет. Рыцарей-чародеев. Куртка авангарда, интересно. Я думаю, если крафтить что-то, то уже повыше уровня.
Inquisitor, a moment, if you please. I'm sure you know how to handle most nobility, but the game is nothing like the Free March's intrigues. It is no simple matter of etiquette and protocol. Every word, every gesture is measured and evaluated for weakness.
Don't they sound delightful? I'm shocked we haven't invited the court to dinner at Skyhold.
The game is like Wicked Grace played to the death. You must never reveal your cards. When you meet the Empress, the eyes of the entire court will be upon you. You are safer staring down Corypheus.
It might be a good idea for the others to hear this warning. Cassandra is usually not the subtle or cautious type.
I'll have a few discreet words. Everything will be fine. Andraste, watch over us all.
Да, спасет она нас, конечно. Почему Кассандра нет? Кассандра же тоже принцесса. По идее, у нее должно быть воспитание нужно. Должна уметь играть. Так, что у нас тут? Тут ничего. Тут что? Тут тоже ничего. Хорошо.
If nothing else, the Inquisition backing Gaspar will make Celine nervous. You know how pious.
Тут закрыто все.
Why are there so many elves here?
The Empress invited.
How long can Orzammar hold out with trade disrupted?
We have reserves. The king wants trade resumed.
Требуется ключ. Прекрасно. Будем искать.
How has the lyrium trade?
Окей. Заперто с другой стороны. Идеально. Ладно, с кем там поговорить можно. Дворянин.
I had hoped to tour the Royal Wing Gardens again.
I have heard they are the finest in the Empire. It's such a pity the wing is sealed. I heard Celine was having the entire wing redecorated, but the timing is atrocious.
Why would she do such a thing now?
How can they call this a vestibule? It's a foyer.
Please, it's barely half the size of the foyer in the Imperial Palace. It's obviously
This dress
just
uniform is preposterous.
call it
Formal
more of an
armor would have been better.
Конечно.
It will take some time to get our men into the palace. I'll alert you when we're ready.
Гостевое крыло. А, почитать нельзя.
Interesting.
I wish there was more news coming from the convent.
Подслушать. Прекрасно.
I had no idea.
Пфе.
Gaspar never struck me as
Подслушали.
pious. You must think he gains military advantage.
That's useful.
What is Gaspar?
Серьезно, 30 штук можно подслушать. По сути. А тут можно кого-то? Нет, нельзя. В принципе, все, можно дальше идти, я думаю. Вроде как все тут обыскал.
And now presenting Grand Duke Gaspard de Chalon, and accompanying him, Lord Inquisitor Trevelyan, son of Ban Trevelyan of Ostwick. Vanquisher of the rebel mages of Ferelden, crusher of the vile apostates of the Mage Underground, champion of the blessed Andraste herself.
Did you see their faces? Priceless.
Accompanying the Inquisitor,
А, мне просто туда идти.
Seeker,
Всё,
Cassandra,
я понял.
Allegra, Portia, Calogera, Philomena.
Get on with it.
Pantagast, 14th cousin to the King of Navarra, 9 times removed, hero of Orlais, right hand of the Divine. Lord Dorian Pavus, member of the Circle of Arantium, son of Lord Magister Hallwood Pavus of Azariel. The Lord...
Cousin, my dear sister.
Блин, не дослушали.
Grand Duke, we are always honored when your presence graces our court.
Don't waste my time with pleasantries, Celine. We have business to conclude.
We will meet for the negotiations after we have seen to our other guests.
Inquisitor?
Lord Inquisitor, we welcome you to the Winter Palace. Allow us to present our cousin, the Grand Duchess of Leeds, without whom this gathering would never have been possible.
What an unexpected pleasure. I was not aware the Inquisition would be part of our festivities. We will certainly speak later, Inquisitor.
Your arrival at court is like a cool wind on a summer's day.
I'm delighted to be here, Your Majesty.
We have heard much of your exploits, Inquisitor. They have made grand tales for long evenings. How do you find Halam Shiral?
I have never seen anything to equal the Winter Palace.
We hope you will find time to take in some of its beauties. Feel free to enjoy the pleasures of the ballroom, Inquisitor. We look forward to watching you dance.
Не думаю, что сейчас есть смысл что-то пытаться остановить. Она все равно отказалась бы останавливать. Про театр. А, не люблю театр. Это вестибюль. Табличка какая-то. Тут уже нет таблички. Кто ты? Не хочешь? Ну как хочешь.
Inquisitor, did you need something? The sooner we track down this infiltrator, the better.
Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary?
Nothing that stands out. I doubt there's a single person here without ulterior motives.
Do you have any advice?
Orlesian social events don't fall within my area of expertise. There are a few here we can trust. Be careful.
Who do you think the Inquisition should support?
Gaspard's claim to the throne is fair. Orlais needs someone capable of responding to the crisis at hand. A military-minded leader seems the best option.
You've attracted a following. Who are all these people?
I don't know. They won't leave me alone.
I take it you're not enjoying yourself.
At this point, the headache I'm developing is preferable to the company.
We'll talk later.
А разница между мигренью и таким обществом? Никакой.
It's been too long since I've had any.
Are you up with us? Josephine! Oh, Josephine! Is this him?
The Empress says. Inquisitor, please allow me to present to you my younger sister, Yvette Gabriella Montillier.
Greetings, my lady.
Inquisitor, I've heard so much about you, but not as much as I want. Josephine writes, but she never tells me anything. Is it true? Rebel mages in Redcliffe were performing blood rites and orgies before you stopped them.
Where did you hear such nonsense?
Everyone in Antiva says so. Is it true?
Those stories are little more than wistful thinking, milady.
Oh, how dull Redcliffe must have been then.
This may be my only chance to hear about when Josephine was a girl.
Oh yes, as she told you about when she was 10 and...
Yvette, stop.
Fine. What about when we were climbing the cliffs?
Ну, ясно, что за девочка тут.
She once told the Duke of...
Absolutely not.
She still plays with her doll collection when no one's looking.
Yvette, that's absurd. Absolutely preposterous.
Which power should the Inquisition throw its weight behind?
Celine has held the throne successfully for years. I see no profit in ousting her. Gaspard has run military campaigns, but never a kingdom. His transition would be, let us say, chaotic.
Tell me about yourself, Lady Yvette. This is the first time I've encountered any of Josephine's family.
She would forget to mention the artists. I've been studying painting under Antiva's royal tutors. You should be proud, Josie. I'm going to be exhibiting my work next season in the city's biggest salon.
Have you actually sat down and finished the painting yet?
I must wait for my inspiration.
And I must wait for your tutor's bits.
Enjoying the ball?
I see many of them.
The dancing is so dull, Your Worship. But the Empress's gallery is magnificent.
Yvette.
Sorry, Josie.
Go on, Josephine.
Half Royal must be empty. So many of the Empire's finest are in attendance. They've noticed the Empress paying you special attention, but they don't quite know how to take advantage of it yet. This uncertainty won't last long, I'm afraid.
Which power should the Inquisition throw its weight behind?
Celine has held the throne successfully for years. Gaspard has run military campaigns.
I'll see you.
Another...
Are all the Delancey's here?
Maker, I hope not.
Good. I was hoping I would catch you. What did the Duke say?
He points the finger at Ambassador Briala.
The ambassador is up to something, but she can't be our focus. The best place to strike at Celine is from her side. Empress Celine is fascinated by mysticism, foreseeing the future, speaking with the dead, that sort of rubbish. She has an occult advisor, an apostate who charmed the Empress and key members of the court as if by magic. I've had dealings with her in the past. She is ruthless and capable of anything.
How can Celine openly keep an apostate in the Imperial Court?
The Imperial Court has always had an official position for a mage. Before now, it was little better than court jester. Vivian was the first to turn that appointment into a source of real political power. When the circles rebelled, technically every mage became an apostate. The word lost much of its strength.
You think she's controlling the minds of the court? That's powerful blood magic.
She's worth investigating. Can't be sure of anything here. Both leads point toward the guest wing. It's a promising place to start. I'll coordinate with our spies to see if I can find anything better. I will be in the ballroom if you need me.
We are not serving drinks. Bother someone else. The package is in the guest wing. Upper room.
Интересно,
So
интересно.
one of the garden statuettes.
Капец, столько тут локаций. Ну, комнат я имею в виду. Вообще.
You seem more comfortable with the Grand Orlesian Ball than I'd have expected.
I have seen countless such displays in my journeys in the Fae. The powerful have always been the same. Only the costumes change.
Have you seen anything useful?
No, sadly. I do not have the look of one of the elven servants, or I might well be invisible. I wonder how masked men live their lives without ever seeing that servants have an entire society of their own. If you want to find something useful, I would pay attention to what the servants do.
Have you encountered any trouble with the nobles?
The Orlesians do not quite know what to make of me. I have kept to myself, for fear of giving them some purchase to cling to. The food and drink are excellent, however, and the servants have been happy to refill my glass.
I'll be
Прекрасно.
back.
And well.
Замечательно. Конечно, ожидал... Ожидал кое-что другое. От этой миссии не такого я ожидал.
The band is still waiting for their refreshments.
Ничего интересного. Окей. Опа.
My Lord Inquisitor. May we have a word? It is very important.
The Empress has sent us with a message for you.
How can I be certain this message is from the Empress?
We three wear the masks of House Valmont.
They signify that we are public faces of the Empress.
They are also extremely fashionable.
Funny that she couldn't give me this message when we spoke.
Oh, she could not speak freely in front of the entire court, Inquisitor.
Empress Celine is eager to assist the Herald of Andraste in his holy endeavor.
She will pledge her full support to the Inquisition as soon as the usurper Gaspard is defeated.
That's a generous offer.
The Empress believes wholeheartedly that the Inquisition is our best hope for peace in these difficult times.
She looks forward to cementing a formal alliance.
As soon as Gaspard is out of the way.
But we have taken enough of your time.
Please, enjoy the masquerade, Inquisitor.
Понятно. Ожидаемо.
This is a private conversation.
Interesting.
Послушаем.
You must be mistaken.
No, I'm quite certain it was blood on the tiles.
If they're playing the game, they're not doing it very well. You don't leave evidence if you play to win.
With Gaspard and that elf woman here, the only one playing to win is Celine.
Даже так.
Майкл Стоун. Здорово, удачного стрима.
Привет, спасибо.
You only say that because you
Кажется,
fancy the
скучновато
Empress's
тут.
estate. It
В этом
sickens me to think of the
дворце.
chaos those Maleficarum are causing across the Empire.
Ожидал чего-то
Even you
поярче.
cannot deny that the Templars abandoned the faithful in their darkest hour. How can you condone that? They are the ones who should be brought to heel, if you ask me.
Вот, ходим, слушаем тут. Ха. Слухи всякие. Нужны статуэтки. Прекрасно.
It's been too long since I've had any word from Valois.
Ого. Прекрасно. Нужно найти тоже статуэтку. Тут еще и кровь какая-то.
There must be something here.
Большая локация. Так, тогда пойдем в ту часть библиотеки. Вот тут вот мы вроде не были. Да. Так. Угу. Даже огонь такой есть. Естественно, тут где-то знак должен быть. Прикольно. Этьен первый. Неправильно. Этьен второй. Ясно. Значит, так. 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 Вот так. Вот так. И вот так. Замечательно. Хороший тайничок. Все, больше тут ничего нету. Окей. Статуэточка. Еще книжечка одна. Так, можно дверь открыть. Что за двери? Ту-ту-ту. Прекрасная записочка. Можно спускаться.
Have you heard from your nephew?
This is all so familiar. I half expect my mother to materialize from the crowd and criticize my manners.
Is this how the elite of Tevinter carry on?
You could almost mistake this for a soiree in the Imperial. The same double-dealing, elegant poison canapes. It's lacking only a few sacrificial slaves and some blood magic. But the night is still young.
Have you seen anything I should know about?
Other than an overabundance of lavender perfume? No, nothing extraordinary.
What if your mother were actually here? Where would we be then?
Short one mage after he's dragged out by his earlobe.
I'm having difficulty picturing that.
Picture me a young boy of 5 years then. She certainly always has.
I appreciate that you are willing to come here.
And expose myself to all this exquisite finery and exotic wines? Such hardship.
Not everyone's likely to be friendly. That's all I meant.
It's true. You'd think I smelled of cabbages the way they wrinkle their noses. It's of no concern, but thank you.
Так. Пока что, думаю, на этом все. Потому что я тут уже немножко запутался. Лучше продолжить, скажем так, в свежем уме. Потому что немножко подустал тут бегать. Так что, ребята, на этом все пока что. Опять про театр. Неинтересно. На этом пока что все. В следующей части уже продолжим. Будем пробовать выяснять, что тут, да как тут. Так, ребятки, последний слух. Все. Всем спасибо за просмотр. Всем пока. До следующей встречи. Удачи.